hope that you are well. We are currently experiencing on Earth a period of rapid acceleration on a vibrational level, but also a lot of profound changes occurring. And this can cause a lot of confusion, doubt, fear, but also symptoms that we call ascension symptoms. And next to that, there is also a big wave of psychic attacks directed specifically towards the Lightworkers that has been occurring since a couple of weeks. And the good news is that once we can discern what is what, then it's really a game changer. So in this video, I'm going to talk about both ascension symptoms, but also psychic attacks and how we can protect ourselves from them. So what are the ascension symptoms that we might be experiencing in 2026? As I mentioned in my 2026 forecast in the beginning of this year, there's a very strong emphasis on the physical body. And the symptoms that we might be feeling are physical symptoms such as pain, maybe some illness, maybe heaviness in the body, a lot of fatigue in the body, or maybe simply things that were already lingering for quite some time in the past but are really coming up very strongly now because they need our attention for them to heal actually. And there is really a reason why there is this strong emphasis on the body right now. Because we are receiving so much high frequency energy from our sun, and the body is always last to integrate and assimilate those frequencies, those high frequencies, simply because it is the densest part of our being. So the body is always playing a bit catching up, on the rest. So we receive these energies very fast, but it takes more time for the body to really adapt and integrate all of that. And that can create, therefore, some discomfort, some pain, maybe some illnesses coming up. Maybe we are never sick and we catch a sickness because we need to go into this healing crisis also to heal a certain aspect of ourselves. And it really goes through the body. So it's really, really important to really be very careful and attentive to the body right now, and to be really soft with our body, to be really loving with our body. And the first thing, of course, is to really have a healthy lifestyle. So like food is super important. I myself, I have a quite healthy routine when it comes to food in general. But I've been feeling in the past weeks that I also need to maybe stop eating certain foods and really focus on like really strong energy filled foods, more so than in the past, because the body really needs something new now. So you might be also feeling that in the past you would eat certain foods, but now the body says no. Maybe there's inflammation, maybe there's a problem with the digestive system. So it's really important to be really careful and listen to our bodies. Also, any self-care to the body, massages, going to the spa, detoxifying also the body, whether it's through heat or also again through food, because we carry a lot of toxins, and not only mental, emotional, but also physical, of course. So all of this really comes into play, and there's really this strong focus on the body and how we can be more healthy. Another symptom that we might be really feeling right now, and this is not something that is new, that is something that we've always been feeling when it comes to ascension symptoms, it's simply our sleep. So anything that is related to having a disturbed sleep, restlessness, waking up during the night, maybe waking up and not going back to sleep, like staying awake at night. Maybe you're experiencing like waking up around 3 a.m. because that's usually an hour that's pretty important. And again, there's a reason for that. It's because we are downloading really very strongly all these frequencies also while we sleep. Also in the astral realm, so when we sleep, when we travel astrally, we are also working to integrate and to actually work with all these new energies coming in. So it's quite normal that sometimes our sleep is really disturbed and we wake up, we cannot go back to sleep again, even though you don't have a baby at home, which I do. So again, I have not a lot of sleep, but with the collective energies, it's even worse. So you can imagine what it is. But again, if we are experiencing this disturbed sleep, it's really important to also listen to our bodies, and maybe during the day have a nap, or at least lie down, relax and breathe slowly so that the nervous system can really also calm down. And of course, when we talk about sleeping, we talk about dreams. So dreams can be ultra powerful right now. I've been having really crazy dreams recently, like really impactful dreams where I wake up. And so you might be experiencing either, memories from the past coming up in your dreams. Very often dreams are also metaphorical, so it's very interesting also to write them down and maybe, try to analyze the dreams, whether you're familiar with the work of Carl Jung, for example. When it comes to dreams, it's very interesting because there's always a hidden meaning to our dreams. The dream realm is really about the unconscious, so we transmute a lot of things in our dreams. A lot of the unconscious comes up, a lot of the shadow aspect comes up, and so there can be a lot of healing going on during our dreams, and it's always, interesting to actually understand what's happening. So dream analysis can be really interesting right now. There can also be dreams of the future, maybe also dreams of déjà vus. And this is because there is also this multidimensional aspect that is activating within us. So during our dream time, we actually access our multidimensional selves on the astral plane. So we can really visit these different timelines, these different dimensions. And that is why that we can really see that sometimes they tell us about the future, they tell us about the past, or they tell us about probabilities, like on the quantum level. So it's also very interesting to analyze that. These past weeks, there has been a huge wave of psychic attacks specifically directed towards lightworkers. And this is not something that I often talk about on my channel, for those who know me. Actually, I think it's probably the first time I talk about psychic attacks. But I really felt the need to mention it because it was happening so strongly, and also because I think it is interesting to kind of, understand the difference between that and also the ascension symptoms that we might be feeling in parallel. I don't want to scare anyone here, but we are in this final spiritual battle. And in this final spiritual battle, of course, there are going to be attacks. And actually, as lightworkers, we are really going through this rapid evolution. And as I was mentioning, we're receiving these high frequencies from our sun, which is really activating a lot of dormant crystalline DNA right now. So we are remembering who we are more fully. And this, of course, is not okay with the servants of the shadow of darkness. And so they want to block that. They try to block that. Of course, they can't, but they try to, because they don't want us to remember who we truly are, and they don't want us to access that knowledge either. Recently, I've been guided to go more deeply into the Gnostic texts and specifically study the Christos Sophia aspect that is emerging right now, which I talk about in my previous video. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it here. And the following night, I received psychic attacks from the Archons. They didn't want me to connect back to that knowledge. They didn't want me to remember. And furthermore, there has been in the past months a lot of scientists that have been, missing. And these scientists specifically were working on technology that is associated with, let's say, extraterrestrial technology, whether it's anti-gravity, free energy. And I wanted to mention David Wilcock. So I knew David Wilcock, I knew his work, and he allegedly took his life on the 20th of April, which I personally don't believe. That's not what I'm feeling. And David Wilcock, if you do not know him, he's actually someone quite brilliant who managed to link spirituality with science, with esoteric knowledge, with ufology. He was very connected to the alien extraterrestrial subjects, and we could see him in many documentaries on the subject. And I was really saddened when I learned that he was missing. And actually, when I got the news, I heard his voice in my head, and he was saying, "I'm okay." So I didn't know if he meant I'm okay because I am safe, or I'm okay because now I'm on the other side and I'm safe. But it's very hard to tell when someone is missing or went to the other side, in the the next days, because the soul stays very close to the earth. And so to this day, it's, I still have a doubt, but I'm pretty sure he did not take his own life. Also, he was working on a project for the development of anti-gravity vehicles, I think, or free energy. So he was clearly a target for a long time. I also wanted to mention that I was quite saddened to see on social media certain posts or comments from people that were very judgmental towards him, and saying that he was really depressed and really feeling bad and mental disorders and anything like that. So of course it's someone who has been through a lot of harassment. Many times, they tried to take his life. They actually also tried on his wife, and his wife left him. He also was completely bankrupt. He was also going through some trials. I mean, he really had a lot going on and quite heavy stuff. And yeah, probably he was not feeling so well. But yeah, I was really shocked to read that these people were so judgmental and saying like the main problem that we have in the spiritual community is through these spiritual personalities that don't do the work, the shadow work on themselves. And I just wanted to say that the main problem in the spiritual community is not that. The main problem is the people who are not able to show a little bit of compassion or empathy for someone who is going through a lot. And I think the most important thing in the spiritual path is to have actually the heart opened and to be able to feel empathy and compassion and not be judgmental. Who are we to judge the life of someone else or the evolution of someone else? So that's just what I wanted to say. How do these attacks happen? Most of them don't happen on a physical level, but they can sometimes, unfortunately. But specifically towards light workers, they happen more often on an astral level, firstly. So again, while we sleep, we may have really dark dreams and wake up really suddenly in the middle of the night and feel shocked, feel that the heart is beating very, very fast, and feel threatened physically. So this is usually a sign that there has been a psychic attack during the dream states. But also we can receive them on an emotional, mental, and energetical level. And that's going to be more like interferences. So interfering with our emotions, interfering with our thoughts, sometimes also with the visions or images that we might have in the head. So sending us really dark or menacing, threatening images. Or suddenly we really, we have a lot of fear, a lot of doubt about something, and that we usually don't have. So this is also a sign that they're parasiting our thoughts, parasiting our emotions, and parasiting also our visions. Some other psychic attacks are passing through other people that are close to us. Most of the time, they really choose people that are closest to us because it's easier. Usually people that vibrate a bit low or that are organic portals. And what happens is that they use this person as a doorway to access us. So again, not to be fearful of people around us, but just to be aware that this kind of thing can happen. And there can also be black magic. So black magic, again, through other people, especially people who feel jealous of us or envy us. That's really a very powerful doorway for that negative energy to enter, because like in the Jewish tradition, for example, the evil eye, the word for evil eye is ein hara. And ein hara also means jealousy or envy. And so you see that it's one and the same. When someone feels jealous or envious, that person is, more often it is completely unconscious, but it is projecting negative energies onto us. And this is the same as black magic. So the servants of the darkness, of the shadow, they really use those people also to expand that negative influence towards us. So how can we protect ourselves from all of that? So the main thing is clearly having a healthy lifestyle. Because the more we are having a healthy lifestyle, the more we are stable. So that means good food, good nutrition, good sleep, being grounded, so practicing grounding, really connecting to Mother Earth. It's really the same as electricity, you know. So when we are grounded, we are we are less vulnerable to this, electricity that can hit us. It's exactly the same principle. And of course, meditation, prayer, or simply asking for help. We can ask any kind of a being that we feel close to, whether it's, of course, Archangel Michael is very famous for his protection, but it can be any ascended master, archangel, angel, or being that we resonate with, and we can really call upon them for this extra protection. Then there's something that is quite known in different spiritual traditions. It's that we are more vulnerable on our left side. So carrying certain metals on our left side is really going to be helpful. Again, it's almost like a lightning rod that will push away any negative influence. And specifically what we can carry is some copper, so a copper bracelet on the left arm, for example. But I would say if you really want to go, like for the full protection, just wear copper, silver, gold, and brass at any time. If you really wear those 4 metals, they're really going to protect you. And also, of course, we have crystals. So, for example, in the Indian tradition, there are certain talismans that they have a stone for each planet of our solar system, and it helps with protecting us from the negative influences of the certain planet transits. So that can also be really interesting when it comes to protection. Also, what we need to be aware of is that there are certain weak points that we each have. So for each and every one is going to be different, of course. We all have our weaknesses, but there are general ones that we can really watch, and that's the back of the neck and also the lower part of the back. So the back of the neck is really famous. Also, the Chinese call it the Palace of Wind. It is a doorway. So again, the lower back is a doorway. It's really related also to the kidneys. And the back of the neck is also a doorway to the spiritual and astral realms. So specifically people who have, extrasensory abilities or clairvoyance, we can be really more weak maybe on that level, because we really need to shield ourselves also on that level, because we are maybe more open. Another thing that we need to be aware of is if we are scattering our energy, because when we are watching this, watching that, always on our screen, scrolling, looking at this, looking at that, and always in this kind of dispersion of energy, our energy is pulled out from ourselves, and it is not here anymore, it is out there, it is here, it is here, it is here, it is here. And when we are in this state, of course we are more vulnerable. So becoming aware of this, this energy that we give out and actually calling it back, retrieving that energy. That's really, really also important. And also when we feel low, when we are in a low energy state, when we feel emotionally low, whether it's through anger, sadness, or fear, of course we are also more vulnerable. So it's not about not feeling those emotions. It's totally fine and totally okay and normal to feel human emotions, but we just need to be aware when those emotions start to dominate our daily life, and when we get really out of balance completely and we actually get stuck also in those emotions. That's when we are vulnerable, and of course they are trying on the other side to always keep us in those emotions because they feed off these negative emotions. So especially fear, that's the biggest one, but also anger or sadness. So becoming really aware, and again, allowing ourselves to feel the emotion but not remaining stuck in that emotion. So I just wanted to share with you a little practice that you can do. You can do this as a ritual, or you can do it even right now with me if you like. And that's just to set the intention to retrieve and gather all that energy that might be scattered all around you. So really you can visualize all that energy that is scattered and just, collect it and bring it back into yourself. breathing slowly and deeply, and really feeling that that energy is coming back, and instantly you're going to feel more centered and more grounded as well. So this is something that you can do really regularly. But I will also share with you an affirmation that you can say, and if it resonates for you, you can really use it often too. I allow all energies I have left behind or given to others to return to me now. I allow my 7 chakras to be fully restored now. I allow the 12 strands of crystalline DNA to activate in me now. I anchor and ground myself in the core crystal heart of Mother Earth. So when we are more stable, when we are more grounded and more centered, and there is this alignment on a mental, physical, emotional, energy, spiritual level, then we are much stronger and much more balanced and less vulnerable to any kind of attacks. Whether it's psychic attacks, but even the collective energies that are all over the place. And therefore we can reconnect back to our inner power, our inner abundance, who we truly are. They don't want us to connect to our inner power, to our inner abundance, because they want us to stay in lack, to stay in powerlessness, to stay in fear. But, the movement is here, and we are all gathering and reconnecting back to who we truly are, to our own light, and nothing can stop what is happening on Earth right now. And even though they sometimes try to, it's a really organic process, as I was mentioning about these ascension symptoms. These ascension symptoms are organic. These psychic attacks are only tests on our spiritual path. So I hope all of this was helpful, and that you will find your stability, your strength, and your light. See you soon. Sat Nam.